What's going on, everybody? It's Dot Bets. We are checking back in. Welcome to On the Dot, the sports betting podcast, episode 1. We are excited to get this podcast up and running. You can tune us in on Spotify, iTunes. You can catch us with a video podcast on YouTube. We will be streaming every Monday and Thursday night, so you can catch us 2 times a week, and we will let you guys know when we post them. This show will give you guys insight and strategies on how to get proven results in the sports gambling industry. We'll dive into the most recent sports news and break down our best gambling strategies for you to make more money. So without further ado, let me introduce my co-host of the one and only Sidekick Picks. How are we feeling tonight?
Hey, how's it going?
It's pretty exciting times when we're getting the podcast rolling. Well, this has been in production for, what has it been, a couple months now, trying to get the ball rolling?
Oh, yeah, I've been begging you for a while to get this thing going.
I'm known to be, the live streams. So that's where I thrive. So I was a little hesitant with the podcast, but I think this is going to be very beneficial. We are going to dive in. First and foremost, we're going to go over the NFL season. So then we'll branch out maybe towards the NBA, college basketball, maybe some college football. Our main focus right now is the NFL, and to help you guys make better bets. Also, we'll cover some fantasy football and the DFS landscape. Me and Sidekick both venture out in all 3 of those aspects. So we'll definitely help you guys out along the way. So before we dive into the AFC East breakdown that we're going to get into, we'll go team by team. Kind of wanted you guys to get to know us a little bit. So Sidekick Picks, how did you start to become a handicapper or a capper for short?
Yeah, so basically I've always done well with fantasy sports, and I never really got to gamble a lot because the state I lived in didn't offer it. So once I moved to a state that had DraftKings or FanDuel, I then kind of ventured out, and my buddy told me about gambling Twitter. So I kind of leached onto that, and I found a group and got involved with that group, and kind of learned how to cap, because I didn't really know how to properly gamble. So I learned some good tips, kind of stuck in there for a while, and then thought to myself that I could do this myself. And I made some good connections in that group, and I brought a couple of them over with me, and we started the Sidekick Picks Discord. And then we just got into tournaments and reached out and made really good friends and connections. I met you and who was it? Azim,
yep. Oh yeah.
So that's a good connection that I made, and just getting better at it every single day. It's a grind, but I like the numbers and enjoy talking with new people about different things. So
right. Hey, and I was actually a consumer of gambling Twitter before I started my own.
Yeah.
So I followed a bunch of the old timers now, because there's so many new ones that are just outrageous out there. But no, I was a consumer of it, and I thought to myself, I was like, I can just do this myself. Like, why would I, keep looking at other people's picks when I can make my own? Funny story, actually, my father-in-law was my kind of my go-to with gambling. He was my first bookie. So it was a little bit of a transition when you owe your father-in-law money, or vice versa, and you're like at family events rooting against each other, watching the game. So it was a cool dynamic that we've come pretty far from, and have established a pretty cool relationship on the gambling front there. So there's no bad blood between us two. Each of us pay up when we need to, so it's all good there. But it was, what's that?
Who's up?
I would say me. I'd say me over time. He might tell you differently. But no, that's where I first got into it, and then transitioned to making dot bets, and then the rest is kind of written in stone there, where you got. I mean, I got close to like 7,000 followers, and I'm sitting there like, why do 7,000 people want to hear me talk about gambling? But hey, here we are, and I'm super excited to produce plays for you guys, research strategies. So it's been a side gig that has turned. I'm hoping to turn into a full-time gig, but we'll see how that rolls. Can't venture that off right now, but I absolutely love everything I'm doing with Dot Bets, and I hope everybody else out there is appreciating the work I'm putting in. So we will go and transition from that. We'll go right into the AFC East breakdown. So this is what everybody's came to tune into. We are going to break down team by team and tell you kind of division bets you want to make right now, some player prop bets that you're wanting to make right now, and some fantasy targets and where we're kind of leaning at, and then just go deep diving into each team and seeing who we think is going to win this division. The division as a whole, I think it's one of the easier ones to predict. You got the not reigning AFC East or AFC. Oh, yeah, they've won it for, I think, the past two seasons with the Bills, and they are currently the favorite to win it again. I think it's the heaviest favorite on the books. It's minus 225 to win. So I can see them obviously running away with this. But then I think the real question here is who finishes second, because you got all the dynamics of the Dolphins, you have all the dynamics of the Patriots, and then you have this up and coming Jets team. Not saying that they're going to be there this year, but I think they have some potential in the years to come. I think it's a 2-leg race, though, going to the second seed here with the Dolphins or the Patriots. So you want to dive into either one of those, or do you want to get it right to the Jets?
Only thing I'll say about that is I do think the Patriots are going to give the Dolphins a little bit of trouble. I can see them splitting a game, but I mean, there's too much talent on that Dolphins team, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I'd have to agree with you, but it is the Patriots. So
yeah,
they got Well, I'll save it for when we get to the Patriots.
No, there's a lot of moving pieces in this division. There's a lot of running back committees. There's a ton of receivers. So let's dive in. Let's get to it. We are going to go deep diving into the AFC East and here we go. So we'll go the fourth team, projected fourth team. So we'll go from fourth to third to second to first. And we are going to start with the almighty New York Jets. A projected win total of 5.5. Over 5.5 is minus 165 currently on DraftKings, and its under is plus 135. Do you have a play that you like on the over-under for the wins? Do you have any particular player props that you're looking at on this Jets team?
I got a couple. So if I was to take the over-under on projected wins, I'm going under. Just looking at their schedule, they play the Ravens first, then they play the Browns. I think they still lose to the Browns, even though they have the quarterback drama with Watson. But I mean, they want to run the ball majority of the time, and they got a veteran guy with Brissett back there. So I think they'll be fine and finish off that one. And they got the Bengals. Steelers could be a toss-up, but again, I think the Steelers are a little bit more talented on both sides of the ball. So I don't have them winning that. The first game I can see them potentially winning, maybe the Bears, and that's in late November. Then their schedule gets a little weak there, where they play the Lions and the Jaguars, and Jaguars I think will take them as well. So I don't see this team hitting 5 at all. So I think plus money right there is a good bet. They have gotten better, but they still got a young quarterback back there. Some different pieces, so they got to kind of mesh a little bit. I think 5's a little high for them, so I'm going under with that at plus money.
I don't mind that. It's a very tough division with the Bills in there at the top, and you have a very young team still trying to gel. So I can definitely see the under 5.5 hitting here. Let's talk about some additions and some subtractions that happened to this Jets team. So they did sign CJ Uzomah and Tyler Conklin. So they have upgraded their tight end play.
That's a good pickup.
I love that. I mean, it just gives them a little bit more, kind of helps them on the line too, help Zach Wilson. But then you saw what CJ Uzomah can do with the Bengals squad. So I'm glad he got a 3-year deal there for $24 million. They lost Jamison Crowder, but then they drafted the wide receiver Garrett Wilson, who's going to be pretty fun to watch. So all in all, Zach Wilson definitely has some pieces to work with. You got they also drafted Breece Hall, which everybody's expecting him to have a big year. We will tell you a player prop on him shortly. But then you got Elijah Moore, who had a great rookie season, a phenomenal rookie season. Everybody was going after Elijah Moore late in the season because he was just hogging the ball for sure. And Wilson was going after him. He was definitely a breakout candidate there with Elijah. And then they also have Corey Davis as the wide receiver. So and then they have Michael Carter. You're looking at a young core group of guys that I think not this year, maybe next year and the year after can compete. So nothing, I mean, in a fantasy perspective, you might target, you're going to target Breece Hall, you're going to target Elijah Moore, Corey Davis sometimes, a little bit down the road.
I'm staying away from Corey Davis.
You are?
Yeah, just because of projections and how he fared last year. I kind of think he gets pushed out of the way again with that addition to Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
I think Wilson and Moore are going to be identical players, and 800 yards receiving. I think they're going to carry the workload for that. And then you got additions at tight end. So I don't see Corey Davis really factoring this year as much.
Yeah, but I mean, the only thing that kind of sees some viability to Corey Davis, they are going to be trailing in a lot of games. And they're going to be throwing the football. So could he have some potential, ceiling games? I could see it. But obviously I'm targeting, Elijah Moore. He's the wide receiver 30 currently. Then you have Garrett Wilson right in front of Corey Davis, Garrett Wilson at 42, and then Corey Davis at 67. So people are banking on these rookies. And then speaking of rookie, we're going to go back to Breece Hall he's the running back 16 in fantasy. So that's a lot. I mean, he's up there. He's going to be a guy that fantasy owners draft high and want him to produce. Will he get there?
I think he'll have a pretty good season, but I don't think he's going to hit the mark that everyone's projecting him to hit. ESPN has him currently projected to get 1,029 rushing yards, and I think that's a ton of rushing yards, especially for a young guy on a team that's not very good. DraftKings kind of favors me in that as well. They have his over-under for rushing yards at 830.5. So even with that, I think is a ton of yards. And you got Michael Carter, who's decent, but he's a veteran guy. And if you really want to dive in deep, they have Tavon Coleman too, who's been around the league forever, who I'm sure will steal some touches here and there. I don't think he hits the 830 mark either. I think it's close. I think his upside, definitely you can get it. But if I'm taking it, I'm going under 830.5 for minus 115.
And that is the play I was talking about earlier. I'm going to second that play. I think it's a very, very good angle. You got to think a projection of win total of 5.5. How many times are you going to be able to run that football? They're going to try to establish it. I don't know if Breece is going to have that ability to break enough tackles. And when you're down 10-0 in the first quarter, 17-0, early in the second, they're just going to abandon the run. So I do believe that under is a nice little play there. So if you are looking at some early player props, that is one I truly, truly love. We are going against a lot of the buzz because, Breeze is one of those guys. If you go to a lot of websites, they're going to say that's a nice cheap piece or, a good running back to hold on to. We are just pumping the brakes a little bit on Breeze and banking on maybe long-term with the running back committees there with some established guys behind him. You never know what can happen. So I do like that angle there.
Yeah. I do have one more pick for this Jets team too. And that is division wins.
Ooh.
So on DraftKings, you can get Jets under 2 division wins at -115. So I'm already projecting them to get swept by the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have a tough time with the Dolphins, and maybe they split one with the Patriots, and I don't even think they split one with the Patriots. But so under 2 division wins, and that's at -115. I think that's a solid bet there.
I like that. Yep. I mean, I agree with that one as well because you got a very, very tough division. I know the Pats aren't going to be special, but they're going to be solid. It's Bill Belichick. Then you have the well-coached, yeah. And then you got the Dolphins' elite defense, Bills' elite defense. I mean, they're going to swallow up Zach Wilson, I would assume. So, but before we do get out of the Jets, some crazy news with Zach Wilson. So I know everybody out there has heard he is a mother lover. So good for him. And I saw a couple tweets that were like, wow, Zach Wilson logged on to Twitter and had a reverse reaction of what he thought was going to happen because everybody was sitting there applauding him. So it was the
best tweet I saw today was about Tom Brady and how Giselle's at home, and it was just a video of a guy running as fast as he could to get home. And he said Tom Brady rushing home when he finds out Zach is friends with Giselle.
Oh, geez. All right. On that note, I had to leave on a little funny note there. We will go right into the New England Patriots. Pretty much have not found their way since Tom Brady has left. We have the over-under currently at 8.5 wins on DraftKings, -115 for the over, -105 for the under. This is a team that lost a lot on that defensive side of the ball. And I think you're going to see that be the main factor if they slip. And, it also could be a factor that Mac Jones and this offense could potentially be a sneaky good fantasy offense if you get the right pieces. They acquired Devontae Parker. They also added Ty Montgomery for special teams, and he's just a utility guy. And then they drafted Tyquan Thornton in the 2nd round, as well as Pierre Strong in the 4th round. But the only thing offensively that's going to hold them back is we don't know. It's a lot of question marks because Josh McDaniels left for the Vegas job. So right now, currently, Bill Belichick is scheduled to call the plays. And I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know if the league knows what he's going to do. Is he going to, have a little dump offs? We don't know. They still have the double tight ends, the Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry. They can definitely see some 1-2 punch there. Jonnu Smith was a little bit there, here and there. But I think a lot of this relies on Mac Jones, another second-year quarterback in this division that is going to have to take another leap up this season. Do you think Mac Jones, currently as the roster's in place, do you think he can do so?
I see him being the same. I don't think he takes a step back. He showed a lot of maturity last year and surprised me. I thought they were going to be in trouble, but he did pretty well. They did add some pretty good offensive weapons, but it's hard to say with with their offensive play style. I don't know what it's going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that Devontae Parker is going to have a good season. But again, if you look at New England Patriots historically, they're just kind of middle of the road guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of see him falling in line. Same with Jacoby Myers, I mean, everyone thought Nelson Aguilar was going to have an amazing year last year, and he didn't. I think Devontae Parker will just kind of fit 700 yards right in that mix.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to look up a prop for him because ESPN has him projected. To get 700 receiving yards. So I'm kind of curious to see what it would be on DraftKings if it's higher. Because if it's higher, I like the under.
I'm trying to see if I can find it on DraftKings.
I know. I wish there was a search bar.
He's not even on there currently.
Oh, okay, that's probably why I didn't see it. I'm also curious to see if Hunter Henry kind of gels a little bit more, because I was expecting him to go in and have a big season last year, and he kind of fell short. So, I mean, he had 9 touchdowns last year, which is pretty good. I guess he did better than I thought, but he wasn't the Hunter Henry that we're accustomed to seeing.
He was a red zone beast for this team.
Yeah.
And with the 9 touchdowns, that's got to regress. That's just a major sign of regression. Different play callers, I can see him regressing. I do think his receptions go a little bit higher, but then his touchdowns, with the addition of Parker, you're going to see a little bit more of him, and then you have the running backs at the goal line that they like to do as well. But if I had to pick a receiver in this particular offense to target, I'm going to go with Jacoby Myers. He's already established that connection with Mac Jones. He finished as the wide receiver 30 last season. And he had 59% more targets than anybody else on the team. I get it. There wasn't very much to go around. You had Aguilar, who dropped every dang pass as well. So the addition of Parker is going to muddy that a little bit. But I do think there is some positive regression to keep going with this connection with Mac Jones. So if I'm betting on somebody, I'm going Jacoby Myers to pick him in fantasy. But I do think Parker could be a solid, wide receiver 3 or a flex guy on those bye weeks that you're just kind of hoping to get a touchdown out of them. That's kind of how I rate Devontae. Yeah,
he shouldn't go undrafted in any league.
No.
Especially deep league, you got to snag him. And their running backs too.
Yep.
I mean, Damian Harris had a good year last year, almost 1,000 yards, which is saying something because the Patriots usually they split their running backs up all the time. And Stevenson had 600 yards, so they can prove to have a 2-headed back system there, and it works pretty well. So
I hate Damian Harris. That's just for the record, because he beat me in fantasy last year when it was the semis and there's the Bills Pats game, and it's when Damian Harris just went super saiyan on everybody and had like 3 or 4 touchdowns, and then the other guy had Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, which I was okay with those 2 beating me. But Damian Harris, the guy who's just been a little bit here and there, and then all of a sudden he has a boom game. I was like, oh. Yeah. So, but I do think Damian is the one to own. I know the running backs for the Patriots, you have, if you roster them, you're constantly have a headache the entire season because you can't figure it out. You got Harris, you got Stevenson, you have James White. So I think Harris is a safe bet. I'm worried about Stevenson cutting into his workload because he does run very well. And if he starts catching balls out of the backfield, I do think he could be the guy that takes over as not a 3-down back, but, he could be the early down back, especially, we've seen Damian Harris get hurt as well. So one thing I will say about this running backs and all of these teams here, it's kind of murky. So you can kind of take a little bit more of a chance on waiting on somebody like a Stevenson, maybe like a Mostert from the Dolphins, maybe a Michael Carter from the Jets, and you're kind of sitting back and you're letting everybody kind of reach for the projected starter, and then you grab the guy who's going to take in line after maybe so-and-so gets benched, so-and-so gets hurt. Not like we're rooting for injuries, but they do happen. So that's just another little tidbit for fantasy on that end. But for New England, I think there's just a big question mark overall of how that offense is going to do. I'm under the impression that it's going to have a little bit more upbeat to it. It's not going to be as, hey, Mac, just hand the ball off and let us do it and let our defense do its part, because that's what they did all last year, relied on their defense. I don't think they're going to be able to do that this season. Mac Jones is going to have to throw the football. They went out and got Parker as a kind of a safety net for him, big receiver. So I see some positive regression here for the New England Patriots passing attack, I think, in 2022.
I do have one bet for the Patriots, and that is their finishing position. So you can take them to finish third on DraftKings, and it is plus 160.
Plus 160. There you go. I could see that. You got, man, that 2 seed. That's going to be the crazy. I think the Dolphins Patriots right there are going to be.
Well, I was thinking too, because I have the exact order bet that I really like, which is Bills, Dolphins, Pats, Jets. The opposite order of what we're going in now. You could essentially hedge and take Patriots to finish second, and that's going to be even more plus money.
Right.
And I was trying to crunch the numbers on it to see what it would be, but I even think that's a decent take on it too. So either way, you're getting plus money on it.
I like that. For sure. So we've covered the Jets. We've covered the Patriots. Let's go over probably the most anticipated offense to be watched this season is going to be the Miami Dolphins. And their over-under wins right now is at 9. That is plus 105 to get the over and minus 125 for the under. I see this number being fairly low. So if I'm taking the over 9 right here, the Dolphins. I'm optimistic. I'm thinking Tua's going to quiet his haters, not shut them up. I think he's going to quiet them. He's going to have bad games, but I think when you put all those pieces together with that elite defense that they have, kind of like he's back at Alabama. Would you not kind of agree with that assessment there? He's back with elite talent. I know he's not playing against, crappy college, D1 college football teams, but he's got a lot of talent around him, and we've seen what he can do at Bama. And people are underrating his accuracy. I wouldn't say his deep ball. His deep ball still has work to do, as many videos as they put out on Twitter for it. But you put Tyreek Hill into this offense, what he can do, just before the snap is gone, he's running back and forth. You've seen it with the Chiefs. So, and he just plays with the defense, and he creates a lot more opportunities for the rest of the team. I'm optimistic here. I'm going to go over 9.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair number. I was looking at their schedule. Their schedule is kind of tough. There's a lot of games on here that are wishy-washy. They could go either way. Like they could potentially split with the Patriots. Personally, I lean Dolphins, but they got the Ravens, Bills twice, Bengals, the Browns, if they get Watson back, Niners, Chargers, Packers. So they got some pretty tough non-scheduled teams on that. So I think that 9 mark is definitely doable, but it's a bet that I'm going to stay away from just because maybe they're an 8-8 team. Maybe they're a 10-6 team.
I just know one thing. They're not going to start 1-7 again. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure.
So, they don't start 1-7. They end the season 9-8.
That's a good point too.
That's what I think. And you got the new head coach, Mike McDaniel, in there. He's going to, players have been raving over him early on in training camp. They've been loving the offensive coordinator. I know everybody kind of speaks, nice in the off season. So we'll see after week 1 or 2, if Tyreek's not getting the football, if he, throws some tantrums on the side or whatnot, but I don't think he will.
I got a question for you.
Uh-oh.
So Tua on DraftKings passing yards over under 4,500.
Oh God. Let's see what
he's projected on ESPN 3,792.
And he was at 2653 last year in 13 games. Yep. Yeah. What was that number again?
4,000.
4,000, man.
A lot of yards.
I'm going to go under. I'm going to go under. If I had to make a bet, I would go under. Just because they did sign 3 veteran running backs. And we'll get into that real quickly. So Edmonds, Mostert, and Sony Michel. So they got 3 veteran running backs, and they still have Myles Gaskin there. So you have 4 running backs there that kind of know what they're doing. It's not, let's pay this guy and hope the hell he pays off. You know exactly what you're getting out of these 4 guys. I think Edmonds is the guy to own in fantasy. He's getting double the amount of money as everybody else on that roster for the running back position. So I would lean Edmonds. Then you got Mostert. Then I would go Michel. But we saw with Michel last year, late in the season, he came barreling through with the Rams and, you propelled them into the playoffs. And you had Henderson come back. You had Akers come back. That was a 3-headed monster, and he produced there. So Tua definitely has the ability to, throw the football. But I think they're going to be up a lot as well, where this run game is going to eat into that stat right there. So I would lean under basically just because of that.
I like that. I think it's crazy too that Gaskins had 600 rushing yards last year. They went and signed 3 other running backs.
You saw him run the football, right? He averaged like 2 yards a carry, maybe 1 yard a carry. He was,
3.5 yards a carry.
No, it was like 1. It was literally 1. If you watched football, if you watched the Dolphins, I swear to God, it was like 1. Because we do touchdown parlays every Sunday, and we would always have Myles Gaskin in there, and he would get the ball 3 times at the goal line and get stuffed every single damn time. And then the week we don't have him in, he'll score. And it was like, God dang it. So I know exactly why they went out and got Chase Edmonds.
Well, he is a whole lot better, that's for sure. And he's more complete, catches the ball out of the backfield, which I think is going to fill right into their game plan here. Mm-hmm. I think Mostert's going to be that electric guy, that boom or bust player.
Let's go to the receiving core. So probably one of the bigger questions in this division, in all of football, can Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, can Tua suffice? Can Tua make both of those guys fantasy relevant where we want them to be?
I think so. I think the both will have pretty good touches and have some big games, but the numbers are hard to say if they're going to hit them or not.
Yeah,
you just don't know. Like Waddle right now, his receiving yards are at 925, which he went over last year. But now you add Tyreek in the mix. I'm trying to find Tyreek's stuff, and he's at 1,025.
So with Waddle, he had the 10th most targets of all receivers last year. He's not going to go through. He's not going to be around that this year.
Right.
That's where he was a target hog in the middle of the field as they were moving the football. You had, I think Brissett played quarterback for him a couple times the past season. So, and he doesn't throw the ball very far at all. So that's where Waddle got his a bunch of targets there. Do I think they can coexist? Obviously. You would not trade for Tyreek Hill if you don't think the speed of Waddle and Hill can factor into some wins and beat defenses, because I definitely think they will. I just think it's not going to be deep balls every single second of the day. Like you're going to see how the Chiefs, hey, Tyreek, get open. Tyreek, get open. Tua doesn't have that ability to scramble and throw the ball 70 yards like Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't. So it's going to be a lot more predetermined routes, and I think there's going to be a little more gadgety plays with these two with their speed. So you're going to see those kinds of plays, not so much, hey, Tyreek, get open. But to go back to that Waddle receiving yards, I'm going under. I'm going the under here at 925.5 at minus 115.
I like that.
Basically, Tyreek's in town. You still have Gesicki there, who's one of the best tight ends in the league. I wouldn't even classify him as a tight end. He's a wide receiver. He lines up just like a wide receiver would. And there's a lot to go around. Plus, you add in those veteran running backs. Tua under, Waddle under. A lot of people are buzzing about this team. Mm-hmm. Let's just take a step back in terms of fantasy production. And I'm going to go under here with Waddle. I'm not touching Tyreek because it's such a question mark. It's such a question mark to me.
Right. I agree with you. I like that. I have 2 picks for the Dolphins. One is division wins over 3 for minus 115. So again, I'm assuming they sweep the Jets. And that's if they split one with the Patriots. That's a push. So I'm thinking Bills sweep them just because I think they're a better team. But you never know. I think over 3 is a nice one. And then Dolphins finishing second is plus 175.
Oh. Plus 175 for second, you said?
Yeah.
I mean, I see that. I don't see how they're going to win it, but I don't see how the Patriots and the Jets could get, above them whatsoever. So that's pretty good value there. Plus 175. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anything else I want to touch on with this? Only thing I'll add is just I am very excited to watch this team. I think everybody is as an NFL fan. You got Gesicki, Waddle, and they strangely paid. Was it Cedric Wilson? Cedric Wilson. They strangely paid him a lot more money than I thought they would. So they're going to be running some wider, 3 wide sets as well. So don't sleep on Wilson. A lot of people are going to be going into Will and Waddle. If you want to have a late round flyer on Wilson, go right ahead there. So I wouldn't be opposed. But anything else you want to add on? I did have one more prop I wrote down, and that is with my guy Mike Gesicki. So I don't know if you guys followed me last year. He was a guy that I targeted a lot with his targets, or receptions in a game. He was crucial to his success. They want to get the ball out. They wanted to get the ball out quick. I think that's going to be the same kind of concept this year. And Gesicki was just one of 8 tight ends who ran at least 75% of routes from the slot or wide out in 21. So just one of 8 tight ends. He's going to be a tight end route runner. They want him to use him in that essence. So I'm going to go over 56.5 receptions there for Mike Gesicki.
I like that too, and that falls in line with ESPN's projections. They have him at 57. They have him scoring more touchdowns too, which is pretty nice. He only had 2 last year.
That's stunning. I would have thought he had a lot more. But they did have Parker at times, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get to the final team breakdown. We're going to go into probably one, if not, actually, they are the favorite to win the Super Bowl this year. So we appreciate you guys tuning in all the way till the Buffalo Bills breakdown. We got them at over 11.5 wins at minus 140. and under is plus 120. They got the 18th toughest schedule, and we have projected wins at 11.6 wins. So they are slightly leaning the over here. I mean, what's more to say about this team than Josh Allen is the heart and soul to this Buffalo Bills team. They also re-signed or extended Stephon Diggs, solidifying him as the wide receiver there for years to come. The only change on the coat, not only change, but one of the biggest changes was the offensive coordinator is new, Ken Dorsey. However, he's been Josh Allen's quarterback coach for the last 3 years. He knows exactly what he's going into. He knows exactly what Josh Allen can do. I don't see this offense slowing down. They got rid of Cole Beasley. They got rid of Emmanuel Sanders, but they replaced him with one of the best slot receivers in the game, Jamison Crowder, who Zach Wilson made relevant at times last year. So just imagine Josh Allen throwing the ball to Jamison Crowder. Then you have Gabriel Davis. You have Stephon Diggs to round out the wide receivers. And then they also signed O.J. Howard, which is a big name, not so much in the fantasy world, but it's a big name for just as a team. You know, he's
athletic tight end.
Big athletic tight end in the red zone and a very good run blocker. So really, really excited about that. You compare him with Dawson Knox. They also signed Von Miller in the offseason. The Rams actually were going to pay him more money, but it was for a year less. So he took the extra year to go play for the Buffalo Bills and try to compete for his back-to-back titles there. So I don't blame him. Great defensive ad here with Von Miller. And then I think the one signing that will make a humongous difference. So the offensive line was so-so last year. Josh Allen scrambled all the dang time. I still think he does that this year, but they signed Roger Saffold, and I think that's one of the best offseason signings that you will not hear about very often. I remember him with the Rams. He went with the Titans. Just is a beast along that offensive line. I think he brings a well-needed veteran presence and solidifies a little bit more confidence in Josh Allen to step into that pocket. So that's a rundown of the offseason moves there. What are you liking most about this Bills team, Sidekick?
I do like the over. You said 11.5.
Yeah.
I think they hit that. I'm trying to pull up. I had their schedule. Here it is. Okay. So, they start with the Rams, which is going to be tough. I think they beat the Titans, beat the Dolphins, Ravens. I think they get the Packers. I think they win at least 12. And the bottom of their schedule is kind of weak.
Right.
Vikings, or it goes Jets, Vikings, Browns, Lions, Patriots, Jets, Bears. Like it's the back end is pretty weak. So if they can hang in there and win a couple early on against some playoff teams, they'll definitely hit that mark.
They have the easiest schedule out of the 4 teams in the division.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, but that's just how the NFL did it this year. However, they do it with their a million computers putting out their schedules. But this leading right into the season, you got to think this is the Bills' year. Got to be the Bills' year.
And to piggyback on that, on DraftKings, Bills over 4.5 division wins is plus 135. So you think they're going to sweep the Jets?
Mm-hmm.
I think they sweep the Patriots. And then if they split with the Dolphins, there's your 5.
Yep. I agree. I'm good with that. So let's get to Josh Allen. So I briefly talked about him earlier. Will he repeat as QB1 in the fantasy world?
He definitely has the tools to be, that's for sure. I mean, pretty good weapons offensively, so his passing yard should be right there in par. And he has the capability of running. So anytime you get a running quarterback like him, especially one that likes to run in the end zone and punch it in, I definitely like him. The thing with me with quarterbacks is I never get a good quarterback
in fantasy
because I don't draft them early. Like I'm not going to sit there and waste a second round pick on a quarterback.
Man, but Josh Allen,
I mean, yeah, if you're going to take one.
My defense when that happens is I'm always like, okay, what happens when I go face the guy that has Josh Allen? I'm like, crap, he's got Josh Allen. This sucks. That's my defense of saying like, okay, maybe we should draft him early because I get it. The opportunity cost of putting the quarterback there, and you don't get a running back, you don't get a solid wide receiver. But man, it's tough to pass on Josh Allen this season.
Yeah.
His projected stats are just unbelievable. He's one of 10 players with 30 plus rushing touchdowns since 2018. That's insane. He's a quarterback, but he's their goal line back. They got James Cook in the draft. However, they kept Devin Singletary, and Singletary proved to be a very good running back for this team last season. He caught passes, and he ran the ball pretty hard. But Zach Moss, he's still there, but he got lost. He got lost there. He got James Cook will be the guy eventually, I think. But they're still leaning on Allen, and that leads me to my prop play here, and that is his over rushing yards and his over touchdowns. So one of the two are going to hit, if not both. So I got over 575.5 rushing yards for plus 100. There's all kinds of reports saying they don't want him to run that much. They don't want him to run that much. It's in his blood. It's in his DNA. He wants to be that guy to carry his team. So he'll get that. Every projection that I've seen, besides one, has him over that number. I got him in like the 600 range, somewhere around there. Even if I'm being generous, 625. He actually has not. He got 763 last year, and he rushed 122 times. The 2 years before that, he was 102 and 109 rushes for 510 and 420. So 20 more rushes, and he got close to 260 yards. So he's that one thing that tells me he knows when to run now. It's not that he wants to run more. He just knows when to run.
Yeah.
So that off the top of my head, I'm going off of any of that buzz, and I'm going over for this 575 rushing yards. And then his rushing touchdowns is over 6.5. Like I said, he's going to be the goal line back. He's going to punch it in a buttload of times for a team that moves the football very, very fast. Give me both of those for Josh Allen.
I like that. One I will add to it is his passing yards are 4,450.5. And I think that's way too many. He pretty much hit it last year, but what we've been saying is the exact opposite with this team. They're going to be ahead. Is he going to throw the ball that much? I don't know.
Man, they do like to throw that football, though. They do. It's crazy.
Well, ESPN has him projected almost like 80 pass attempts less this season than last season. And I think it's just because they're going to be up, so they assume they're going to be running the ball.
Yep. Easy schedule, some blowouts into some games, not being so competitive. I can see it. Yeah. All right. So you want to dive into their running backs with Cook and Singletary?
We can.
Real quick.
This is. I mean, if I'm drafting a fantasy team, I'm not touching the Bills running backs. That's just me. I think Singletary is. I mean, he's a decent back, and maybe he does a little bit better this year. But it's just for me. He's a middle of the pack running back. So if I am going to take one, I'm taking him in the middle.
You're taking Singletary?
Yeah.
Yep. He is not one of my sleepers, but he's one of those guys that I think you can wait on.
Yeah.
If you're going on the no running back strategy or whatnot, you're going to get somebody in a very good offense. Devin Singletary screams to me. And you got James Cook there. He's going to take some time. Singletary was the guy last year. Looking at his numbers from week 14 to the divisional round, he carried more than 70% of snaps in every single one of those games. and had a buttload of receiving yards, buttload of rushing attempts. Max, he went up to his 23 attempts in one of those games. So they have leaned on Devin Singletary before. They're not afraid to go back to Devin Singletary. I think he's a good target in fantasy football as you're waiting on a running back there.
Yeah. I definitely wouldn't reach for him.
No.
If he falls mid-round.
Yeah, his ADP is 86 right now, so you can definitely wait on him a little bit for sure. And then Cook, he's going to go right after him. People if you're going to take James Cook, you're taking him for later on in the season, maybe Singletary gets hurt, whatnot. But definitely both are rosterable. You have to roster both on elite offenses like the Bills. So for the receivers, we'll finish with the receivers. Do a little recap over some picks that we had. Stephon Diggs, wide receiver 4, ADP 11. I think it's the best stack in fantasy football this season. And last year, this year, next year, the next year after that, Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs. If you can get that stack in best ball, if you can get that stack in fantasy, you try to do that this year. You try to do everything possible to do it. It's going to be tough because they're both going to go very, very quickly. But if you have the ability to, there's nobody like that Diggs-Allen connection. In the last 2 years, Diggs has accounted for 27% of Allen's targets and 26% of his completions. So, I mean,
it's insane.
It's anywhere you look, the stat is just, oh yeah, they get the ball to Stephon Diggs and he goes. So on that, everybody knows Stephon Diggs is good. Everybody knows that Allen and Diggs are the man. Everybody is talking up Gabriel Davis like he's the second coming, like he's going to be this next big time receiver. Will he get there?
I don't know. He's projected 400 more receiving yards than he did last season. So you said they have high hopes for him. But with Jamison Crowder coming in too, that kind of that's going to steal some receptions from him as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly my point there. I think the industry is not so much reaching, but they're hoping that this guy does something. He had some magic late in the year. He won me some good amount of money on DFS in the playoff rounds with the Chiefs and the Bills game when he went off and he was pretty low owned. Do I think he can do that again for a extended long period of a season? I'm gonna go the under here. So the under the prop that I like is the under 60.5 receptions. So I get it. Allen throws the football a ton. You still got tight ends to compete with. You still have Singletary out of the backfield to compete with. You still have Jamison Crowder and Stephon Diggs to compete with. Under 60.5 receptions. He hasn't had more than, I think, 40 in a season, 35 in a season or something like that. It's just an outrageous number right here.
He had 35 last season. It's a big
and now they're expecting 60.5. Prove it to me. That's basically what I'm saying with this bet. Prove it to me, because there's no way. No way I see it as Gabriel Davis under 60.5 receptions. That's going to be one of my bigger bets that I put for a season-long player prop.
I like it.
So what do you think? I mean, tight end wise, Dawson, he was my tight end. I picked him up last year, and I even had Kelsey on my team. I never played Knox over Kelsey, but I put him in my flex at some points because he was such a
nine touchdowns last season.
Right. And just like Hunter Henry, that screams, regression, which I can see it. But I do like him to be a little bit more target friendly than last year. So I like the fact that Knox will be there again, and he's proven to be a nice little relationship with Josh. But I'm not going to bet any of his receptions, but I do feel if I'm on the under of Gabriel Davis, it'd be a nice little correlated to be on the over of Dawson Knox, because one of those two are not going to get that.
Right. I like that too.
All right. So anything else you want to add to the Bills?
I think I'm good. Just the exact order: Bills, Dolphins, Pats, Jets, plus 240.
Perfect.
Other than that,
boom. So yeah. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. We will be back. Tune in Thursday. We are going to be. We'll record on Wednesday, we'll record Thursday. Put it out on Thursday. And what we'll do, we'll go over the next division. We'll see what that will be come Thursday. And just so you guys are kind of planning with us, the first 8 shows will be kind of what we talked about tonight, all over divisions, prop bets, player bets, division bets. And then the next 8 shows before we get going with the season will be more DFS, fantasy, our best players will here from there, fantasy world and everything like that. So we'll be more broad and then get more and more narrow with our focus with certain topics there. But we wanted to appreciate you guys for tuning in. And if you guys do, in fact, like what you guys heard, hit that follow button on Spotify, on iTunes. Make sure you guys share it out. We'd love to get this podcast up and rolling. And also follow both of us on Twitter. Mine is @bets and Sidekicks is @Sidekick Picks. So make sure you guys are tuning in. Any final words, Sidekick?
It's been fun. I'm looking forward to the season and just breaking down each division. So definitely tune in. We'll have some good stuff. And once the season kicks off, I think we'll have some more DFS stuff rolling and some good picks throughout the week. So,
oh yeah, recaps, DFS lineups. We were gonna sweat over, bitch over, all kinds of stuff. So it'll be awesome. We are excited to get rolling. We appreciate you guys listening. And we will be back on Thursday. See you guys.
See ya.